An amazing NBA Finals comes to a close as the OKC Thunder defeat a resilient Indiana Pacers to capture their first championship in franchise history. Welcome to our Game 7 recap of the 2025 NBA Finals. So let's get into this Game 7 recap as the OKC Thunder defeat the Indiana Pacers by a final score of 103-91 to capture their first championship in franchise history. The Oklahoma City Thunder have done it. Congratulations to that team. Congratulations to the Indiana Pacers on an incredible season and playoff run. So to get into this Game 7 recap, we'll start from the beginning. So early on, it was pretty much back and forth. Indiana, specifically Tyrese Haliburton, he was hot from three. I believe he hit 3 of his first 4, 3-pointers there early in the first quarter. Then unfortunately, he goes down. It looks like he may have, ruptured his Achilles. So, sending out our best to Tyrese. And, he had an incredible season. And this is only the beginning. 2 years in a row in the conference finals and now 1 win away from being the champions of the NBA. So, shout out to Tyrese and we're wishing him all the best. And, we hope he has an amazing recovery. And I just wanted to point out a crazy stat. I actually saw O'Shea Jackson Jr., the actor and, son of Ice Cube. He put out a pretty crazy post. So there's been 3 guys in the East this year in the playoffs who have torn or ruptured their Achilles. And all 3 of those guys wear the number 0. The first one was Damian Lillard, then Jason Tatum, and now Tyrese Haliburton. So I thought that was a pretty crazy stat to point out. But yeah, so to get back into this Game 7 recap. So yeah, so Haliburton goes down. A lot of people are kind of expecting, the Thunder to kind of run away with the game. They didn't think Indiana had enough. And ultimately, Indiana continued to fight and claw their way in. We had some big moments early on from Pascal Siakam, from Andrew Nembhard, a lot of big defensive moments early as well from Miles Turner. Then, at halftime, actually, Indiana had a 1-point lead, which is absolutely incredible. Basically, in the first half, I would say what helped Indiana stay in the game was ultimately the relentless defense. As for the Thunder, they weren't overly impressive for the majority of the time without Haliburton on the court. Then ultimately, the third quarter kind of changed the game. We kind of saw Indiana. It was really like a one-man show with TJ McConnell. He went on a little run in the third quarter, but ultimately the Thunder were able to get back to that elite defense that they've shown this season. And then that elite defense caused a lot of turnovers. I believe Indiana finished with around 22 turnovers. So basically when the Thunder defense is, clicking on or hitting on all cylinders, it was a historic defense this year. And we saw that in the third quarter. They just kept causing turnovers and therefore it led to easy baskets on the other end. And something I really want to point out, one of my key takeaways, in my opinion, in terms of why I think OKC won this game today, I feel like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it was an uncharacteristic type of game in terms of his offensive play style. He's more of a shoot first, a heavily aggressive shot taker. And ultimately today, he did take a lot of shots and he did a great job at it. But I feel like his ability to switch to more of a point guard first, meaning like more of an assist first type of guy, I think that really helped OKC elevate their games today. Because ultimately, I feel if Shai would have just done his normal thing where it's kind of, him taking the majority of the shots, I feel like Rick Carlisle and the Pacers would have been able to game plan to that. And, they would have been like, all right, one guy could go off, but the rest aren't going to do much. But due to Shai's ability to adapt, to the game and do anything to win, I think that was one of the main reasons why OKC won this one. So I wanted to point that out there. But yeah, like I said, in the third quarter, ultimately the OKC defense was on fire. TJ McConnell was really the only offensive engine for Indiana. Fourth quarter starts, kind of the same thing. There's kind of McConnell here and there. And then as the fourth quarter goes on, we see Chet Holmgren. I want to shout him out. He had a lot of huge defensive stops in the fourth quarter. Jalen Williams had some big buckets. Shai did his thing. And someone who I would call the unsung hero of this whole championship OKC Thunder team, Lu Dort. I feel like Lu Dort was... he was that difference maker, that role player, like difference maker that all these championship teams have. Lu Dort was that throughout the game, and specifically on the defensive end, he caused a lot of havoc. He had multiple, steals. But something else I want to point out in his game today was his offensive rebounding. I believe he had around 4 offensive rebounds and like 6 or 7 in total. So, he created a lot of second chance opportunities for the Thunder. And speaking of unsung heroes or, championship role players, another one I want to talk about here, Alex Caruso. He is now a 2-time champion. He won his first championship in the bubble with the Lakers against the Heat. And now he becomes a champion for the second time. This time He's kind of the old vet, right, on this Thunder team. The Thunder brought him in a year ago, really, like last offseason. And ultimately, he made a huge difference, and he's a huge reason why the Thunder are champions today. And another guy who they acquired last offseason in free agency was Isaiah Hartenstein, the center. He had an incredible game. I feel like Hartenstein, this was probably his best game of the whole finals overall. But shout out to him. He had a lot of great, rebounds and second chance opportunities as well. Just like I said with Lou Dort. And yeah, guys, once again, congratulations to a great team. Congratulations to Coach Daigneault, Sam Presti, so many years in Oklahoma City. He's drafted so many Hall of Fame caliber players, starting off with Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, James Harden, now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, just to name a few. He's done an absolutely masterful job. And ultimately today, they're the champions of the basketball world. So once again, congrats to the Thunder. And yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed our Game 7 recap of the 2025 NBA Finals. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this recap of the 2025 NBA Finals Game 7 as the Oklahoma City Thunder captured their first championship in franchise history as they defeat the Indiana Pacers 103-91. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the MVP. Stay tuned for more NBA content coming your way. Kevin Durant was traded, and the NBA draft is a couple of days away. So keep it locked in here once again on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Instagram and TikTok at @theflame_ES. And with all that said, till next time, everyone, take care.